Today, we're talking about electromagnetic fields and Earth's heartbeat. It's called dirty electric snake oil.
It's on the mighty.
Guys, I'm running late. Hold up. Stop.
Whoa.
I'm still at my other job. Hold on a second. You got to remember.
Okay, how you doing?
I'm well.
Hey, Doug.
Hey, Denver. I'm trying to get out of here so I can get there to do the mail. But you guys have to remember, this is also a podcast now. So not, like a lot of the audience can't see what's happening because they're just listening to the show, right? And the podcast, which is available on all of your favorite platforms, it comes out this week. So you got to just remind people and also describe what you're seeing.
Okay. All right. Could I jump in and let me give this a shot. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Give it a go.
What I am currently seeing is a handsome Denver Riggleman.
Yes.
And some form of GIMP. Doug, what's your other job?
You look like a condom for the Terminator.
You know what? I don't have to take this from either of you.
Okay.
All right.
You're going to. You look like with that mask on.
You sound like it too.
I hate you both. You are now watching and listening to The Mighty Peculiar.
Yes.
There we go.
Well, so what we just witnessed was disturbing. If I'm trying to follow the directions from Doug about the podcast, Matt. So what we just witnessed, to me, I think I'll need therapy.
Yeah.
After what I just saw. So, but there you go. I didn't know if he was wearing pants.
Indescribable. Maybe maybe things that should only be captured on audio recordings or
on audio recordings. That's right.
Seen sights that no one should ever see.
I love it.
Unless you watch our show.
Well, the fact that he came from on site from his other job at the wrestling ring was really impressive. And the fact that he cares enough about us to do this is also impressive. But I know that we have some amazing stuff. And I know I'm excited about this week, when we're talking about dirty electric snake oil, which is a and with the research that all of us have done, the validated facts-based and data-specific research that is actually using sources that people can actually look at, right? What I find amazing is that I didn't know that you could get angry, but I think what you told me this week, that this is some of the stuff that really, this actually might actually hit you in a way that you could be a little angry.
Yes. This, I try and be the mild-mannered one, usually on any show I am. It's just nice to keep an even keel. And not an even John keel, just a regular keel, just evenly keel.
That's right. It's just keeled.
But I may get angrier and angrier as this episode goes on and we get further and further into the grift side of this. And that's so yes. But let me say, first and foremost, let's do the business that I'm gonna always be awkward at doing, but gonna get better at. So if you like if you're watching and you like it, hit like. If you're watching and love it, subscribe. And also turn on the notifications, because if you don't turn on the notifications, then your brain waves will never go in sync with Earth's heartbeat, and you're just gonna be screwed for your life. And no one wants that.
My goodness, bottom line up front, Jesus, Matt, you are getting
all business. Well,
all business.
We want to grow the audience.
We do, and we've had a good week of growing the audience. I think I saw our subscribers are up, and we're doing this on our own, I think. But when you look at the work that you guys have done, and Doug in particular with the new logos, the way that we're looking, and by the way, a lot of this is my fault. The fact that if you see sometimes there's maybe a video gap or something, because I'm always traveling. That does not matter Doug's fault. Today I'm in Santa Monica, California. So as you know, Matt, I'm traveling around the country a lot doing stupid things and crazy things. So, but no, a lot of that is my fault. But I think once, I'm to a point that I can be at home with stable signals, I'm not using hotel signals, or I'm not using, my phone as a hotspot, I think we're going to do great. But right now, this looks fantastic. I mean, what a beautiful thing. And
we don't want big Hilton spying on us.
No, we don't. I don't. Well, I'm sure they're streaming this right now to Paris, so I'm sure she's enjoying this very much. But no, but I know that even with the topic that we have this week,
yes,
it also, it gets to me too. But we had a word that we used when we were talking about this, and was susceptibility. And I know, again, we're doing bottom line up front, right? But
yeah,
it seems like we're starting to get a theme through this, but with different topics and, sometimes different conclusions or different solutions to the problem that we're actually bringing up. But it is amazing that we always talk about susceptibility, but this one is really out there, right? I know we've had the Mad Gasser and Mattoon, and I know that we've had RFK Jr., who's really out there, by the way.
Yes.
We had William Dudley Pelley, right, with the Silver Losers, right, and the Nazis there. But this one right here is old Dudley would. But this one is particularly troubling because I think this might have more financial, I would say, pass-throughs than anything we've talked about.
Right. And so in this case, as we kind of set up front, this is an episode that's both about EMFs, which will be talked about shortly, and something called the Schumann Resonance, which again will be defined in a little bit. And what you need to know is this is one of those moments where people are taking things that are real, like and grafting their own warped views of them onto it. And that's what becomes extra insidious, in my opinion, because if when I started researching this, and I'll say this, someone, and his name has escaped me at the moment, so sorry about this. This was our first listener viewer request episode. Someone tweeted towards you, Denver, about when are you going to cover the Schumann Resonance? And I was like, okay, let me look into this. And this was tricky to just starting the research, parsing out the good and bad information, because a lot of the bad information really uses a lot of the language of the good information in a way that I had not seen in the previous ones we've done.
And I'm usually about, I think 85 to 90% right that if it sounds ridiculous, it usually is. So when you were talking about, the Schumann resonance, and we were talking about EMFs or electromagnetic fields, which I have some experience with, right? Right now I'm getting some EMF from this light.
Yeah.
But I think, from got some EMFs. I'm feeling pretty good. Probably getting some kind of sickness right now, but
you might be getting type 3 diabetes, which is not a real thing, but it is if you get too much EMF. I learned that on a wonderful website called gongs-unlimited.com. Who are not sponsoring this show, but please, if your gong needs, go to gongsunlimited.com.
I didn't know this. What a freaking transition there, because we could talk about Wilford Brimley and what was it, a Cocoon, and and what him fighting diabetes. But I think what's amazing is that diabetes. But I love the fact that I'm almost old enough to be in Cocoon. So pretty exciting. And I think Doug is too, to be honest. I think both of us would be trying to swim in the water, hoping that we actually feel a little bit better. And the fact that he can't jump in is just fantastic that I can talk about him in this way.
So let me start here. And this is actually going to be very important, not just for this episode. And honestly, this next portion will be one of those things that almost for every episode we do from this point forward, this will be handy to know. So let me ask you a question. When I say snake oil to you, what is it that comes to mind?
Immediately a fake product or somebody who's trying to push something that is not what it seems to be.
Right. Okay, perfect. That's exactly the working definition that we have now. What I think is very interesting and kind of underreported or underappreciated about this is that the history of snake oil is actually, it was a legitimate product. There was a snake oil liniment used in China because it was made from the Chinese water snake, which is super high in the omega-3 fatty acids. And it would be created into a liniment that you could like topically apply to, think of an icy hot essentially, like or one of the kind of pain relievers.
So not a wrinkle cream, not like something that's a moisturizer, but like a like an actual liniment or something that actually helps and soothes pain based on the properties of the oil itself. Okay, got it.
It was basically a traditional Chinese medicine that made its way over here, and I'm going to put this delicately, when the Chinese immigrants came to build the railroad, and we won't wade into that too much, but the point is many of them brought with them this liniment because again they are working grueling, crushing schedules, and body aches be damned, you got to keep going. So they would use this. And word started getting around that they had some kind of elixir, some kind of thing. And we get to meet my new favorite character, who's a real person, named Clark Stanley. He also is self-described as the Rattlesnake King. Why? I don't know. He writes his own books, he wrote a pamphlet about himself, his life and times, to distribute before he would come into a town. So it was like, heads up, this awesome dude has come into town.
So Clark Stanley steals, are you saying that he steals the Chinese product and sort of makes it his own, or?
He hears about it. Let's not. Okay. There's no great heist story here. He hears, oh, it's made from snake oils. And I, being the self-proclaimed Rattlesnake King, must get in on this. So in 1893, in my neck of the woods at a World's Fair exhibition in Chicago.
Illinois again. Jesus.
Illinois again. I know. It's, I'm not the weirdest thing here. So he's doing like an old medicine show kind of thing at this World's Fair. He's standing up in front of a crowd. He's got basically a cauldron that's boiling with like fire under it. He's standing there and he's got a sack with him, and he pulls a live rattlesnake out of the sack, proceeds to fillet it right in front of everyone, plops the dead rattlesnake right in the boiling like cauldron pot. Eventually, as it would, like fat starts rising to the top. In kind of that foamy, frothy kind of way. He then ladles some out, pours it into a bottle, and basically says, here you go, this will fix all your problems. And that becomes Clark Stanley's snake oil, which was a huge seller and becomes the thing that like people now will think of as snake oil.
That's pretty interesting. I did not know this, by the way. That's interesting. And by the way, I've had rattlesnake during survival training. I've actually eaten rattlesnake. So I got this, I had that pleasure of skinning one. So this is interesting that he did that in public and then said, here, snake. I mean, was it like the Viagra of the World's Fair? I mean, was it? Basically,
it will cure what ails you. Like what's your problem? This will cure it, right? So
so if you have leprosy, snake oil. If you have ED, snake oil.
Snake oil. If you're depressed, snake oil. If you lost a limb, probably snake oil. I don't know. Why not? What's it going to hurt?
Can't. I mean, if it does grow back,
right? Wow. I mean, you might just become part snake. It's fine. It's fine. So a couple problems though happened immediately. Rattlesnakes are not high in omega fatty acids. That is pretty unique. The concentrated amount that made the actual snake oil effective was pretty exclusive to the Chinese water snakes, which this not being China, are not here. Rattlesnakes have basically none of that. But he goes on selling it for years. Let's see, in 1906, problems really start happening because America passes the Pure Food and Drug Act, which is basically truth in labeling, the first pass at that, right? That he gets away for a while. It's not until 1917 that he is a whole shipment of his snake oil is seized.
So my guess is that it tested something that really didn't follow the protocols of a government-mandated Food Purity Act.
You're correct. What was found to be in this the snake oil was mineral oil, 1% fatty oil. Now you'd be like, oh, maybe there's the snake. No, it was tallow, which basically means like beef or mutton fat. Capsaicin, which is what makes peppers spicy.
Yes.
Turpentine, that's great.
Oh. Okay.
And last but not least, camphor or camphor, CAMPHOR, which it's a waxy, colorless thing that has a strong aroma. Usually, and that is not uncommon. Right. It's not, but camphor now is not uncommon in medicines. It's actually what gives some of these like topicals like part of their aroma, or at least it did. Point is, there was no snake in the snake oil, and even if that 1% of fat, say, came from a rattlesnake, it was not the proper snake to get the effect. So thus we end up with the term snake oil. Oh, and the guy was fined $20 and just had to and pleaded no contest. In modern,
so let me get this straight.
Let me
get this straight. So it wasn't that it was turpentine in there. The fact was it actually didn't have essence of snake. That
basically it didn't match its label. Like it was not what it was. This is
fantastic. Okay, so. Yeah, that's fantastic. Fantastic.
He gets a slap on the wrist. And now forever, snake oil, which started as a legitimate thing. And this is the part that why I wanted to talk about it, is because it's so fun. Like nowadays people just say snake oil salesman, and it's meant to be something completely illegitimate. But it did start as legitimate and then got popularly known as something illegitimate. And I feel like that is a through line that we're going to see not just in today's episode, but in pretty much every episode that we do. At some point,
so it really changed the definition of, right. So it really changed the definition of snake oil, right? What you might see as something viable, something that's actually you can study, research, it's tangible, right? Based on the Chinese water snake, and it was effective. Right now has been completely, I would say, bastardized. Right, or it's evolved into something that doesn't resemble, or maybe it closely resembles. Right, it's a snake, but it's not a rattlesnake. But it's like a slant angle. Right, it's something that's close to what it was, but not really. But it actually changes the entire effect of the original principle. Something like that.
How about this? If you today develop and want to market like a new topical pain reliever, like cream, like an icy hot type thing, pretty much the last thing you're going to ever think to call it is snake oil, because the connotation is just going to say to everyone walking by your display that that's not to be trusted. And it's funny that it wasn't always that. And that's kind of something that I didn't know. And what we're going to see now as we talk about the topic at hand. So say EMFs, right? Electromagnetic fields. There is a consensus definition. There is, ways to measure and test and know that these things exist. But what is happening more and more now, as you just do a general search of just go to Google or whatever, type in EMF, almost I'd say definitely the first few results you get are not legitimate things.
They're not. I noticed that myself.
Yeah. Now, you said, Denver, that you kind of have some familiarity with EMFs.
I do. Yes.
So
I have
science.
some
So
familiarity.
science. So science for me, please, because I need a
You
little.
want me to do some sciencey stuff?
Just do a little science for us.
Well, electromagnetic fields are, sometimes passive, right? Whatever is actually being generated off a device, right, that has electrical current that's coming through it. And you can it's a measurable thing, right? And by the way, there are electromagnetic fields at I would say at a certain level that can be harmful, right? And if you're thinking about, if you're doing an MRI, things like that, right? If you're doing magnetic resonance imaging, right? There might be some things, that electromagnetic field or that magnetism or electrons or whatever you want to call it could hurt you. But as far as electromagnetic fields, right, it's measurable. But we would worry about it a little bit when we worked on radars and things like that. But really, when it comes to, low or medium types of EMF, I would say measurements, there really wasn't an issue with it. But really, electromagnetic field is something that's generated off a device, right, based on the fact that it had current going through it or has current or that it has current going through it at the time.
Right. And to say that
I close. There are pretty good.
Perfect. Like that's what, because again, and this should be made clear, like this, we're not going to go exhaustive into the science definitions. Because one, like we're not scientists, but two, what we really need to establish here is that there is a consensus reality. There is a baseline of what these things are, that can be verified and tested and everything like that, which is what makes what we're going to talk about more insidious, because the things that we're going to talk about prey upon that. I would say, just for the sake of it, the dangerous part about some of the EMFs come down to basically whether they are ionized or not. Like, so you're not going to get exposed to the same kind of EMFs like in your own house that you would in an MRI machine. So true. Just because one is or like in an X-ray machine or something where there's where they can be harmful over time, like your cell phone is not giving you the same kind of EMF that an X-ray machine will. Hence the reason why those things are under strict, observation of professionals and used, to a certain way, and your cell phone is safe for you to have. It's not giving you brain cancer. I promise you.
Thank goodness, because I've heard that from so many people. Man, the fact that there was a consensus of idiots that said that a cell phone could give you brain cancer, I believed it.
Oh, really? Did you?
Yes.
Okay.
No, not at all. That was but no, I think I think when it comes to that though, I mean, I've heard. Listen, and I'm not going to throw anybody on the bus here, but I've had friends and people when I worked in professional environments talk about, I wonder if a cell phone gives you brain cancer, when I'm, I like to use earbuds, right? I like to be on speaker away from the phone. I've had people actually say that to me. That is absolutely true. And I would always look at them like, sort of like, the RCA dog look, right? Like a pig looking at a wristwatch. And you're like, hey, that really doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And but so that's why I'm happy that we're talking EMFs, because I know that this is because now we're going to go into this whole field away from the scientific definition that you have looked at, that I know a little bit about. And now we're going to go into the snake oil part, which I think is so fascinating that you're using that analogy. Yes. This is fantastic.
Okay. This is where things are going to get, maybe kind of confusing, because what you're going to see is people have not, when people are going to sell you products based on junk science of EMFs, they don't need to land on whether EMFs are good or bad for you. They're going to, so there's no EMFs are universally bad, so buy this product, or EMFs are universally good, buy this product. There is a turf war essentially, because you're going to have people that are going to sell you EMFs or EMF protection devices, things to shield away from you, or there are going to be things that boost some EMFs around you to improve your mood.
It's amazing to me that we have now touched on internal fighting between conspiracies, right? Which we have done before. Right. And I just find it interesting too that we're using this other word again. We use susceptibility, but the other thing that we used the last couple of times is inconsistency, right? There's an inconsistency to myth or conspiracy theories or junk science or to snake oil. right? The new connotation for snake oil, not the Chinese water snake oil. That I just find interesting that you're already down this line, Matt, that you've already found this sort of internal grievance or this sort of smash between real EMF science and then the split, man. There's a split, and then you have EMF cults after the split from real. I mean, I wish I could do an outline, real EMF science, and then have a line, right? And then on this side, you have the cults, right, that are actually sort of fighting for that financial space based on whatever belief system that they have.
Right. So, for example, one of the things that people will be, if when watching or listening to this, one of the things that you've probably seen EMFs used on a lot is any number of ghost hunting shows. All right. All of these shows kind of follow one basic formula. It's a bunch of people that turn off all the lights, apparently, and wander around in the dark, which I never understood. But they will bring little tech with them. And one of them is an EMF meter, which if you are watching, you are now seeing. If you're just listening, you can Google what an EMF meter looks like. This is another case like the snake oil. Snake oil started legitimate and got corrupted and turned into illegitimate. An EMF meter is a legitimate thing. It has real world purpose, uses.
Well, I mean, the issue that I have here, and I don't know how far you want me to go into this, right? But there are real world uses for that, especially if you're an electrician, if you're working in a factory, if you're working in a power station, right? It depends on if you're actually working on power lines. I mean, that kind of stuff. I wish I could. I don't know how many people have seen an EMF meter. I know they might have seen them on ghost shows, but I wish I could explain the colors and what that looks like. But it's actually measuring the electromagnetic field, right, of a specific device or area.
Right. So for, an electrician, say they're working in a residential, like in a home, and there seems to be some issues with like power supply or, a circuit keeps tripping or something, they can use an EMF meter to run along a line to find out, is there somewhere where there's like a leak? Basically, is it not shielded properly? Is it not? Again, totally legitimate, right?
Yep.
But we take that exact same device and take it on a ghost hunt. Now, the theory that the reason why they're bringing it with all relies on you buying into the theory that the paranormal and has some attach or it is somehow related to electromagnetic fields, that whether it is the ghosts themselves give off a form of electricity or they need concentrated levels of electromagnetic fields to manifest. Again, consistency is feature, not a bug, right? Like
it's a feature, not a bug in conspiracy myth. Yep. Inconsistency is a feature, not a bug. I've said that for how many years now that I've been sort of smashing around QAnon and stuff like that and conspiracy theories. I think what surprises me, and I know this isn't quite as humorous because it's really easy to make fun of the silver losers from last week. It's really easy to, look at the top 10 RFK Jr. conspiracy theories and really, sort of drag him through the woods. And in the mad gas from a tune to see a town that's completely taken over. The thing about this is it's so insidious, is that it's such a massive market. And I think that's why you're not seeing as much humor. It is we're almost angry. I mean, I'm trying to keep it a little bit light, but I also, I even when you were calling me about this and we're getting the show together, I remember you're like, this is my thing, right? This is what this really, gets my goat. I don't even know the people who say it anymore. Gets my, what does that even mean? Gets my goat.
I mean,
it sounds.
What did one?
I just said it.
What did one satanic cult member say to the other? Hey, can you get my goat? To explain why something, because this does kind of seem on the surface almost kind of harmless. Because, all right, if you want to go walk around and looking for ghosts, you should be free to do that, right? Where I end up having a very personal problem with it is usually in the offer of helping, it's one thing to go around an abandoned place. It's another thing to like find someone that's clearly in some form of distress within their home. And then you've got people coming in with all this equipment that, again, as I've said elsewhere, and I will always repeat, ghost hunting equipment is nothing but pre-existing equipment used improperly. Everything they use is something that was created for another purpose. Nothing has ever been created just to hunt ghosts. And that, to me, is one of the biggest indications that there's nothing verifiable there about ghosts, because how quickly would any manufacturing company get on making something legitimate that could like capture evidence of a ghost? If there was a way to do it, business would have done it by now, and they haven't.
I think what makes you mad, and I'm going to be very blunt here, is that they're just full of shit. And I think it's what it comes down to, and that they're using, that shit bucket, misappropriated technical equipment, utilizing it for things that have no place or no proof in the physical world. And they're using that to console people, or they're saying this is something possible. Right. And by the way, when it comes to ghosts, it automatically assumes a belief in the supernatural or some kind of religious connotation in many ways, right? If you're going to a medium or you're going to something like that too. And I know we're not getting into psychics, so I don't want to go there right now.
No, but we're going to get kind of close, though. I
think we're going to get close because of
we're going to get psychic adjacent pretty soon.
We are going to go psychic and ghost hunter. I think both of them are sort of in the same line, right? They're both in the same career path, right? Of trying to give hope or trying to make money off consoling individuals that might buy into the hocus pocus, and are utilizing that in such a way that they're so full of shit. They're so amoral. They lack any kind of, and I'm being very tough on these because there might be some true believers out there that think they're actually talking to spirits. And you know what? I would say this about them: get help. Yeah. But anyway, so that's the issue that we have right now. I bet that made Doug laugh. But I think that get help, right? But I think that's the thing that it's the full of shit meter, right? They pegged the shit meter. And that just really just gets to me on a level it's hard to define. And I know that it even makes you more angry in some levels, on your experiences.
Exactly. So one of the things that, as I've said before too, that these things like showing up at someone's home with your infrared camera, your, motion detector, your EMF meter, what they're really doing with those is making those shorthand for something legitimate. That there's an actual test going on. There are controlled, and that's why, again, if you haven't really thought about it, but you've ever wondered why every single time you watch a ghost hunting show, they turn off all of the power and then walk around largely in the dark. Again, they're borrowing on legitimate like science stuff in the sense that they're trying to say this is our way of being our controlled experiment. So all lights are off, which means there's going to be no like light pollution. There's going to be all the tech is ours. Now, see, the problem is, again, you're walking around in the dark. That's just weird. So you have to assume that like either ghosts can't be seen in the light. I don't know. But it's their way to try and tell themselves or tell the people that have called them in that this is a serious investigation, when really it is just people walking around listening for little creaks, little noises.
The thing too, buddy, is EMFs are still present even if you turn off the power. I'm sorry. That's the first
most
thing,
of these ghost hunting shows. Sorry, I was just going to say, and I don't mean to talk over you, but one fact I learned today, and this was great, because for ghost hunting shows, when they're on TV and they're like, oh, wow, we're getting a really weird spike and there's no power here, but they're being followed by a cameraman. Guess what can trip an EMF meter? A camera.
I would say probably a camera that has some kind of power source, whether it's battery, right, or it's hooked up, right. And the other thing too is that, and here's the thing too, and I am not even saying this in a funny way. When they say they look at these shadow figures, right? Yeah. They're in the dark, then they see something darker than the dark.
Right.
My thing is, dumbasses, if you're in the light, wouldn't the shadow figure show up better? I mean, is it what? So what is there's got to be, Matt, I know this guy that went on this private house hunt for ghosts, right? I know this guy. right? And I know this guy, I think this guy got kicked out because he said that something like, I would sell my soul to Satan for $1,000 if I could see a ghost right now. And he goes, oh, look, my Venmo just popped. There's this guy that told me about this. And then he got kicked out of the actual ghost hunting thing.
Sounds like that might have been a demonic manifestation, possibly. Let's not say
yes,
sure, but,
that's right. So I guess my thing is when you're on these ghost hunts, right? And I know these people that do them, right? And these private houses, they're not like to talk about it, but I can, right? Which is, my special gift is I don't give a rat's ass. And I want people to hate me, right? When it comes to ghosts. And I want them to hate me when it comes to Venmo. But I think what it comes down to, man, is that I don't know if anybody can explain to me, right? First of all, why you wouldn't look in the light unless it's the EMF issue that you talk about, right? But wouldn't you use the little cracky light things and throw them, right? The little chemical lights. You could use propane. Right. I would use propane lights. So I'm just trying to go down the logical path of how you could see shadow creatures, not in the dark.
Right.
And also why Venmo is such an incredible thing when it comes to satanic possession. So, I mean, that's just some of those things.
Look, you know how you're never supposed to know, like a demon's never supposed to give you their name because then you get power over it. You can give a demon your Venmo name though, and they will reward you. So look, you can't.
Matt Gates did that.
But we're gonna definitely do a more in-depth on all of the kinds of ghost hunting tech and all that stuff in another episode. But in this case, like what we really wanted to talk about is that EMF meter, because again, let's go back to and I said this to you privately, that like I was kind of trying to work on a term for what this phenomenon is. And I settled on co-opting legitimacy, right?
Brilliant.
In order to seem like you are serious and a professional investigator, you show up with tools that actually do function. They are real things. And that gives the people that are, hiring you or calling you in, maybe a sense of, comfort. Like this is, again, if you hired a plumber and he showed up with like a feather duster, you'd be like, pretty weird. I don't think this guy knows what he's doing. He shows up with the right tools and you go, all right, like I feel good about what this guy is going to do. The ghost hunters are doing that same thing. They're just trying to use tools that exist for their own purposes. And
I love the term co-opting reality, Matt. I think it really actually shows, I think, what we're doing as far as, again, the susceptibility, inconsistency themes, the absolute fact that they're using tools that are actually, or using not just tools, but scientific theory as a basis in reality. And they're co-opting that for something to make money or to grift, right? Or to go down a hysterical belief system. And co-opting reality, co-opting legitimacy, which is just, I just think it's absolutely brilliant. I think to me is the same as rat fucking reality. And I think those are the...
We call that the Denver Riggleman way of speaking and the Matt Anderson way of speaking. I am co-opting legitimacy. Denver, on the other hand...
There's probably going to be a beep in that part of the actual show. But I think that's the issue that we have, is that we can't hold back on how we feel about these individuals. They don't deserve to have equal footing in this debate when you're going from science to fantasy.
Right.
And I think when you say co-opting legitimacy, that is really a fantastic way of defining it. And I actually hope that people pick up on that. I think it's wonderful.
Well, okay, so let's look at it this way. So we now just talked about how EMFs can be used as they're a good thing, right? They're helping you find ghosts. They're helping you find proof of the other side, that life continues beyond death. So EMFs must be amazing, right? Well, no, because there are also people that say they are poisoning you and killing you in any number of ways.
Okay.
And you better buy this. this EMF shielding wallpaper for your house, which is an eyesore, to say the least. So now this is the other side of the EMF issue, right? As we said before, the consistency is not anything of value here. So EMFs are great in helping you learn about ghosts. Now they're bad in just name anything: cancer, diabetes, memory loss, depression, overexcitement, anything that you can think of, EMFs can be blamed for.
Well, aren't we, is EMF just taking the place of supernatural belief systems?
Yeah.
Right, is EMF, like, for instance, when you talk about alien abductees, or you're talking about a way to explain the supernatural where you're not going down the Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, right? You're not going down those paths, right? You're actually going down a path, ancient alien civilizations, right? The dumbass shows that you have on television. But EMFs seem to be almost replacement theory for almost supernatural belief systems. And I know, I like to go there. So it just seems like that seems to be
you see, you're right. Because here's the thing, like, if this is a real problem and science has proven that EMFs exist, right? There's your legitimacy. You take the thing that's legitimate, EMFs, and now you turn it into a problem. And then what happens? You have now a problem that needs to be solved through any number of great items, one of which is a hat. And for the people watching, you can see this lovely picture of this hat. For the people only listening, let me tell you, it's looks like a totally normal winter hat. It's a tinfoil hat. I don't know how else to say it. It's lined with.
Oh my!
Now they will refer to it as some form of let's see, we've got bioelectric shield, we've got just EMF shield, we've got they'll throw their own little spin on it. The point is, they are literally selling people tinfoil hats to protect their brain from the evil EMFs.
But they're actually disguising the tinfoil hat by making it look like a beanie. Right?
It's usually in between pieces of fabric, so no one would have to know that you're secretly crazy. Except the fact that you probably tell everyone you're crazy all the time.
What we're looking at here also is that the fact that we showed a beanie and you showed a baseball cap means that you can wear these to really any social event. And I'm wondering if, like, do they have them in fedoras? I mean, are they in, are they in cowboy hats?
They do. Don't worry. They also come with EMF shielded neck beards that you can just wear. It's perfect. You don't even have to grow your own.
That's awesome. I'm wondering if the guy, the guy who's a bit blind who found Hunter Biden's laptop, if his beret is also shielded from EMFs. And I actually wouldn't be surprised by that, because in his book, he was actually afraid of a basket of fruit because he thought it was poisoned by the Biden crime family. But that's neither here nor there.
That's everywhere, actually.
I guess the beanies and the hats have got me a little bit off on a tangent right here on the crazy people out there.
If you're just wearing a baseball cap that is EMF shielded, right? Just a baseball cap. Can the EMFs not, like, are you more protected with, like, the winter beanie hat that, like, covers more, like, your ears? Or can EMFs not get in your ears so you can just wear the baseball cap and you'd be fine? Because, see, I don't understand. I would think you were, like, to be truly protected from these, waves and that are all around us at all times, you'd have to be, like, head to toe. You'd have to, like, mummy yourself in, like, this shielding for it to work. But apparently you can just wear a regular hat. That doesn't make sense.
Well, I think the technical term for those people are idiots. And I think we also, I think that's the technical term. And I also believe that you do have to wear a full body suit, right? Because EMFs are just not specifically directed at the head region, unless that is maybe that's another theory, right? That somehow the head is the only suck space for EMFs is your cranium. Maybe that's another.
Sorry, theory. I think we have another kind of space laser. I think we have an EMF space laser in space, just pointing at the tops of people's heads. Not.
I mean, is that any? I'm not even trying to laugh at that, because is that any different from the other conspiracy theories we've heard, Matt? I mean, honestly, why can't we have EMF? Why can't we have EMF drones or EMF satellites that are actually only their angle of attack is only straight down on the top of your noggin? I can't even say this with a straight face.
No,
love of God, it's unbelievable to me. Sorry, I love this stuff, but Jiminy Christmas, yeah, right. And my God, yes, and I know. And by the way, as questions come in from the audience, Doug, I have to read this out loud. Can EMF shielded hats protect Mets fans from humiliation? I know, we're going to keep going. Are there EMF cups? Like protective, is there EMF protected gonad wear? Because, I mean, would EMFs, so you have good EMFs and bad EMFs. Like, are good EMFs going to help? So wouldn't you want that stuff just hanging out there so they could get, some kind of photosynthesis growth going on? Or are you wearing, if you're wearing if you're protecting everything from EMFs, I mean, are the EMFs bad? Would you wear a cup and a hat?
See, again, that would be my question. And can you discern which ones are good and which ones are bad? Because what this will actually perfectly transitioned, from gonads to dirty electricity. Let's talk about that for a second.
I mean, it's a legitimate question for the nut jobs, which means
the gonad nut jobs.
Because haven't they co-opted legitimacy?
They've co-opted legitimacy, and they've taken it so far that a term like dirty electricity is one of those things. Dirty electricity is an informal term, okay? It is used to describe uneven. Basically, if you have a piece of electronics and it works, it's kind of limping along, but it's not getting a steady supply of energy. That inconsistent supply is dirty electricity. That's the real way to look at it.
Of course,
meaning it's not clean. It's not steady. Okay, that makes sense. So, if you're in the market for some form of cup or hat for there and cup, whatever, if you're in the market to be protected from EMFs, what you're going to do is want something that filters and cleanses the dirty electricity and makes it clean electricity. Now, the kind of device that most commonly you'll find for this really kind of looks like a dehumidifier and or just normal air filter, and I'm pretty sure it's just a dehumidifier and or normal air filter. But you get it, you plug it in. Weird that it would you'd want to plug more stuff with EMFs in, but fine. And then you let that run, and it cleans dirty electricity into clean electricity.
It's unbelievable. So far, it's in the military, we called it FM, right? Fucking magic. So, and here's the other thing too, is that, what's amazing to me, you've talked about shielding for the house, which is like a Faraday cage for your house.
Yep.
You talked about hat and genital. No, I talked about the genital coverings, right? And then, but EMF coverings. Now we have EMF filters.
Yep.
EMF house filters, right? That actually turns dirty energy into clean energy. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of devices. That's a lot of money you got to spend. I mean, if you're talking about, shielding your house, shielding your head, shielding your body, and cleaning your air from dirty electricity, you're starting to actually accrue some bills on keeping your EMF, posture in a clean state. Correct?
Right. So exactly. And now you want to talk about spending lots of money. Do you know where you can really spend lots of money? In crystals.
Where? Oh my goodness. In crystals. Okay. Well, tell me about these crystals.
This is where we need to touch on the last thing that we need to define. We set out to define snake oil, EMF, and now dirty electricity. And now the last thing that we're going to define is the Schumann resonance. Okay.
Got it.
The Schumann resonance, as understood. And again, I'm doing the super simple explanation is they're a set of frequencies produced by electromagnetic waves, EMFs, in Earth's lower ionosphere. So like closer to Earth itself, not far out in space. It's usually created by lightning and thunderstorms. Okay. So it's essentially a bunch of electricity that is trapped, and it pings all around the Earth, and it is got a range. It ranges it from 7.83 hertz to 33.8 hertz. So anywhere in those two, in that is the Schumann resonance. That's the sciencey part. It's testable, it's detectable, it's measurable.
It's a thing. It's a scientifically proven thing. Okay.
So now let's move over to the other side of the definition, which is it's Earth's heartbeat. It's very nice.
So that's the FM definition.
That's the FM definition. Apparently, Earth's heartbeat is 7.83 hertz. And where you may find yourself troubled is what happens if your brainwaves are not in sync with Earth's heartbeat. Something we've all wondered.
I do wonder what happens.
Well, I mean, everything, much like any other much like everything else we talked about, just name an ailment.
You become Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Just name an ailment. Oh yeah, don't worry. If you're out of sync with the Schumann resonance, your TV might turn on and you might see a laptop on there that I
saw that.
What she saw.
Or you might believe 9/11's an inside job.
Sure. I mean, why not? Oh, see.
There she is. There's Marjorie Taylor Greene in her hotel room.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if little Marjorie Taylor Greene met Carol Ann in the other dimension and on the other side at some point.
On the other side. She probably did.
Okay, so what we want to quickly talk. So again, Schumann resonance. It's a thing. It's a real thing. It's defined. But if Schumann resonance is something you are afflicted with, then you might want a Schumann resonator. This is another thing that can look different. It can look, you just go on it. You go on Amazon, just type in Schumann resonator, and you will find something that you can buy for $9, and you can find stuff that you can buy for $500. There's
a $500 Schumann resonator for EMF.
Oh yeah, it comes in like a humidor box. It's great.
Oh,
and what this does, so I'm just gonna have to explain it to you really quick, because then I want you to just revel in it. So a Schumann resonator might almost look like an EMF dirty electricity filtration machine. They are not the same. They are basically
it's a Schumann raspberry.
The Schumann resonator somehow understands your brain waves and like how they are, maybe you're firing at like, I don't know, 5.38 hertz, and Earth's heartbeat is 7.83. So this machine you plug it in and you turn it on, and it will bring your brain waves in line with Earth's heartbeat. Now, I don't know what happens if you leave the house. I don't know what the proximity is. It doesn't matter. Point is, brainwaves need to be aligned with Earth's heartbeat.
Okay. So there's a lot of things here. So the Schumann resonator, is there any other way to align yourself based on EMFs? Like, is there anything like if you have the Schumann resonator, right? You've lined your walls, you're wearing your EMF protective cup and hat.
Yep.
You're filtering air. Right. Is there anything else? I mean, my guess is there are wearables of some sort.
Yes, there are. Now, keep in mind, you do not want if you feel like you are out of sync with Earth's electromagnetic fields or Earth's heartbeat, you don't want the wallpaper with EMF shielding, because that's they may both, like you being out of sync with Earth's heartbeat and too much EMF may both lead to sleeplessness, irritability, restless leg syndrome, feeling kind of hungry, but not hungry. Like, They may be the same problems, but don't you dare get the wrong solution.
So that's where the conflict is, where inconsistency is a feature, not a bug, is that you have maybe more, by the way.
Yeah.
Maybe two major competing theories on EMFs. And by the way, if you're removing yourself from EMFs and shielding, it means you're removing yourself from the healing nature or the healing power of the Schumann resonance or the healing nature of EMFs, which is almost a supernatural way. Is like you're sucking trons in to make you feel better. And you don't want to remove yourself from that beauty, right? And, and I know, so when you're talking about
I'll answer your question really quick. Sorry
yes,
to interrupt you once again, but let me say, because
that's okay.
One thing I didn't do was
stunningly cool.
One thing I didn't do was answer your question. So you may say, you may find yourself saying, but wait a minute, if the problem is these EMFs, either too much, not enough, just not at the right frequency, whatever. Isn't having an electrical device that I plug in or that gives off electromagnetic fields, isn't that maybe contributing to the problem, you might think? So for those people, guess what you got? Magic crystals. You can wear them, little pendants, jewelry.
Yes, the wearables.
Oh boy, and you can spend lots of money. And actually, according to one of my favorite websites that I've ever found, sarahbellstyle.com, which has some of the most baffling spelling and grammatical errors that you'll ever see. You can go to sarahbellstyle.com to find out her top 5 favorite crystals for EMF protection. So these ones
what are they?
Are going to protect you from EMFs. Shungite, black tourmaline, pyrite, snowflake obsidian, and tourmalinated quartz. I don't even know how to say it. Point is, somehow these things shield you. You can wear one just on a little pendant on your neck, and that protects your whole body from too much EMF. Or you get ones that are charged with like the Earth's heartbeat, and they'll.
How do they charge them? Do they put them in a Schumann resonator?
You know what?
Do you rub them on after? You know what they do after the Schumann resonator, right? You have the Schumann resonator, right? And you're all freaking heartbeated up. You just rub the crystals on your body, right?
That's it.
And then you put the 5 crystals in your Thanos gauntlet.
Yes,
you shoot your freaking crystals, your fucking Schumann resonance power, people.
So I will say yes, because that is way better than anything that they've ever said. Because when you try and find my new favorite hobby is actually reading where they've got publicly posted customer reviews of these crystals, because that is the term confirmation bias, which basically means like you're gonna tell yourself you believe it because
you're a douchebag.
What you want. Holy cow! If you want a crash course in what that looks like, there is nothing these crystals don't fix. And it doesn't matter how they work. They are naturally imbued is usually the term you hear, naturally imbued, which means that these people know how to find, like they know how to go like mining for like very specific frequency altering crystals, yet they will never tell the world how. You would think you would make more money being able to tell people how to find this stuff, but it's a video game. That's why they won't.
I know how to make
now. I'm getting angry.
I know, because what they're doing really, we laugh, we have jokes, but they are really taking advantage of people like every other conspiracy myth, grifter, right? Person who wants to weaponize stupidity or monetize stupidity. It's the same folks. And, but I do know that right now, if we made the Schumann gauntlet with the 5 stones of, you think I'm kidding. Listen, I think we could get rich. And if we made the Schumann gauntlet with the Mukalakalaka quartz, the pyrite, the obsidian, the diamonds, and the pebbles, rock number 57 for my driveway. And if we put those into a gauntlet, right now, here's the thing. You have your Schumann resonator box. What we do is we put a gauntlet cutout, and you stick that bad boy in your Schumann resonator box. You turn it on for 3 minutes to synchronize the Earth's heartbeat, right? You pull it out, right? Your gauntlet is healing power.
So
right?
You know what you need to do though? So it's not just like putting it into charge. You have to like say an oath while you're charging it. And so you need to declare you're doing this for all of humanity. And
for the love of Christ, Matt.
Doug, do you want to help us?
I don't know. Yeah. So what we do then is we have the gauntlet. And we stick it into the Schumann resonator, and we say, for the love of humanity, and then we pull it out, and then we can shoot it at people to make them feel better, right?
Or worse, if we want to. Like, maybe you got an enemy, and you're like, I want your brainwaves and Earth's heartbeat out of sync, so pew, pew! And then you like...
You could do, especially if you go up underneath the mouth, because they got the hat. So you want to...
Oh, yeah.
So
how you doing, Doug?
So I think.
Are you done?
Doug, how you doing? The Schumann gauntlet is.
No, I think we're just getting started. Honestly,
you
had onto something here.
Yeah, you have me at humanity.
Yes.
We're in the wrong racket. We need to have like we should change this YouTube channel to just like a batshit QVC channel. And then just,
dude, I tell you what, Doug, batshit QVC would actually be huge.
Yeah, I mean,
it would be. I'm not kidding, by the way.
We couldn't tell them that they're batshit. We'd have to change.
No, you can. Don't worry. Don't worry.
You can say it right there. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
because you know what, batshit has interesting properties that are naturally
lava
from the Earth.
Yeah.
Well, but you did say that EMFs fix everything, so couldn't the Schumann gauntlet fix batshit crazy?
Yeah,
we're just gonna.
Of course it can.
We're just gonna throw this right in the dirt. Just throw it right.
Well, I think. Listen, we had to have a little bit of humor because you're right, Matt and Doug. This one is particularly. It's so egregiously stupid. It's the same as if people bought unicorn stool and rubbed it on their body, right, as a fountain of youth or something. You can't. It's not, but I mean, it's that stupid, or it's as stupid as that.
That's what they left on my porch. I was thinking they were going to light it on fire, but it turns out it was actually for my well-being.
I'm going to read your mail. That's what. Now.
Okay, let's do mail. All right.
Okay. During pre-production, you were talking about stud finders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You guys want to say anything about stud finders?
I don't know. Should we even talk about this?
How do they work?
I will. Okay. I will take. So one of the things, this goes back to the ghost hunting talk, that like an EMF meter is a legitimate thing. Now, if you look at an EMF meter, just they look very similar to stud finders. Stud finder has a very specific use. It's, to find out where, if you need to do any cutting or anything to your walls and you need to find out where the support studs in the house are.
Right.
So I'm saying, if an EMF meter can find a ghost, can a stud finder find a stud?
Well, actually, a stud finder can find a stud because it actually changes. I'm not going to talk about that.
I do have a question, though. Which will lead you to more dumb posts, the stud finder or a batch of Mark Meadows texts?
Ooh.
To be honest with you, the Mark Meadows texts were crazier than a stud finder looking for ghosts. And I will, and listen, there's 23 and now most of them are out there. I'm telling you right now, all seriousness, the Mark Meadows text messages is almost like taking a trip into madness. And that's right. And I would rather walk through a dark house with some freaking weirdo like Zach Baggins or whatever his name is from Ghost Hunters trying to find ghosts with stud finders and wearing EMF underwear than read those freaking Mark Meadows texts again.
Okay. One question came in from Marianne regarding your ghost story. Wouldn't demons use crypto?
Oh, you know what? That's like the monkey's paw, right? Like you think you're going to get like money from the demon, but then they can't give it to you the way that you're supposed to, right? They got to twist it on you. Yeah. So it's suddenly a bunch of Bitcoin, and then like your Twitter profile always has hashtag Bitcoin in it, and no one will ever take you seriously again.
Right.
I don't believe in demons.
Not at all.
I don't think the shows could get any better than this. I mean, when you're talking about stud finders and EMF meters and
dirty electricity.
Dirty electricity, this whole thing is dirty electricity. I think actually, if you think about all of it, right, is that there's got to be some way to either cleanse it or stop it. Am I right, Matt? I mean, that's
or
right.
Dance to it.
Or that.
Well done. Well done. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, join us next week and also tune into the podcast.
Yes.
And
turn into the podcast because our voices are silky smooth and we're like the Barry White of conspiracy theories.
Is there anything
you want to get your sex on? We're the guys. What's that?
Is there anything else you guys want to add?
No, I don't think so. I think we've actually beat the hell out of this Humanity Resonance. So I think we're good.
Go ahead, Matt, because I just see your face. I see you.
You can't take it. You can't take it.
All right. I will say, if you are a ghost hunting group and you are in the Illinois area, like Chicagoland area, and want to call bullshit on everything that I've said, email the show.
Bring it.
We'll tell you how you can do that, and I will gladly go on a ghost hunt with you guys. And you can show me how you use your stuff. And if you change my mind or whatever, I will come back onto the next episode after that, and I will tell these guys about it. So,
and I want to tell everybody here, Matt, depending on my availability, because I'm so busy. But depending on my availability, I think I would want to go with you, and it happens in Virginia too. Any type of paranormal, anything that you want to test us on, we were happy to do it. I will sleep in the most haunted house on earth. I will rub crystals all over my body. I will suck out the Schumann Resonance out of the box. I will do anything that's. I have no inhibitions.
Oh, the humanity.
The humanity.
We will see you next week, ladies and gentlemen, on the Mighty Peculiar.
Hey, baby, why don't you come over here and shock me? Give me dirty electricity.